Okay, Norman or editor, take 9. This is the one that we intend to send to you. Take 9. 2, 3, go. Praise the Lord, everybody, and particularly Kingdom Apostolic Ministries. I am Brother Alonzo Morgan, and this is my lovely wife,
Donita Morgan.
Again, praise the Lord, everybody. We thank everybody for joining us. Particularly, we thank the marriage ministry and the Christian education department or Sunday school department for putting this together. And we're talking about spiritual intimacy. So, spiritual intimacy, uh, we're going to use the scripture that we're going to use to frame our conversation is found in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. And in summary, that talks about um, the married couple making sure that marriage is always held in high honor, that the holiness of it, the sacredness of it, the uh, sexual relationships are always held in the highest honor and above reproach, that the bed be undefiled at all times. That's the goal and that's the framework of marriage and spiritual intimacy. And we also noted that when we looked broadly, say at a Google search or the Webster's definition of spiritual intimacy, the example that was used is the husband and wife or the marriage intimacy. So we applaud the departments that developed this title and this conversation because everybody, the broader society, understands and realizes that marriage is where the special intimacy and the closeness of relationship starts. So spiritual intimacy. I'm gonna let my dear wife kick the conversation off.
All right. In this area of spiritual intimacy, it has a lot to do with each spouse respecting the other spouse's um, idea of intimacy,
Hmm.
their spiritual intimacy,
Hmm.
and not being judgmental of
Right,
how they see that or how they respond to that.
right.
Um, but always listening and getting understanding.
Hmm.
And sometimes you'll never get understanding, but
That's
you're
true.
supposed to be respectful of
That's
that
true.
person's
That's true.
um, that person's idea or that person's feeling
Yeah.
about or understanding about their relationship spiritually with God.
So I think, Donita, if we were organizing and developing this conversation and giving an outline to it, I'm hearing you say that one of the most kind of the keystone points is respect, which works around listening, honoring, uh, absence for the most part of judgment, but respecting, hearing, listening. So that might be our first point in this outline. That spiritual intimacy begins with having respect for one another at all times,
Hmm.
in every regard, listening and being respectful.
Right, and each spouse should offer um, spiritual support
Hmm.
of that person. Um, I, a part of how to, and it's not achieved overnight.
Right.
That's the thing. It's not achieved overnight. The It takes time. So a lot of it should be not a lot of it. Some of it is revealed during the dating or
Yeah,
courtship,
I agree. I agree.
but the how deep it runs usually is not revealed until a lot of it's not revealed until after marriage. But the person should get a sense of who that person is before they marry them.
I agree. So we're not going to stick slavishly to this outline idea, but number one being the respect thing, but number two, then that we are aware that it takes time. I think that's another thing, that it takes time.
It
So
takes time.
you pointed out very well, and I like the way you did that in terms of first thing being respect, but also number two, giving each other a break. It takes time.
It takes time.
The courtship is a part of that process, but as you said, uh, it's not, you don't get everything in the courtship,
No, you don't.
and then in the marriage, then you are being patient. When we are being patient with one another,
Right.
and that it takes time.
Right. And in fact, I think some relationships, maybe even ours, started out where you came from a different um, path,
Yeah, social,
social
yeah,
and spiritual path than I came from.
yeah,
Where I was born in a organized
yeah,
church,
yeah, religious, yeah, you were,
and
and I was not.
and that's all I knew.
Mhm.
So a lot of where I was coming from, I think, and not that there was a big difference because as you had grown,
Yes,
you had developed your own spiritual relationship with God
right,
in your walk, your journey. You had developed a spiritual relationship with God, and it was different, but I respect it.
yeah. So now I even see more. I get a better idea of where you're taking that, and I think that's very appropriate for this conversation. That where my social setting in terms of faith and church was different from yours. And often that would give an appearance of a different, it would give a different spiritual appearance or spirituality. But again, I think the key that you, and I appreciate that, the key that you're bringing out is there's got to be respect for that, and there's got to be uh, acceptance even
Yeah,
that there is that,
there's a difference.
yeah, that difference.
Everyone is different in their
Yeah.
walk,
Yes.
in their journey with God. It's different.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And that's where the intimacy comes in.
Yes.
And I respect how you give appreciation and how you um, commune with your God.
Yes.
And not saying that they're not the same God,
Right.
but
The same
it's, in other words, what I'm saying is
Yes.
how it's a personal relationship.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's right.
And it depends on how deep your relationship runs with God.
Mm-hmm.
Some relationships with God is um, I only call on him when I need something,
Mm-hmm.
and then some relationships it's like I can't wake up and talk to you, or I'm talking to you all during my sleep to the point that I'm waking up talking to you. So it's just different.
So hey, a question then, and I don't know how others will relate to this, but I'm hearing kind of like there's kind of these grades or levels. What do you say then that there are some parts of your relationship that are at the surface, and that the tickle is good there on the surface level aspects of being intimate, but then
Yeah.
there's also, it then becomes legal also to go deep in the marriage relationship. It's okay to get deep in the spiritual.
Right, because they're related. I mean,
That's right.
it's the same thing. Intimacy.
Yeah.
One's with a human being, your spouse, and the other is more of a spiritual, deep relationship that it's manifested,
Yes.
but it's something that it's just a little different. It's a little deeper, and I think that's part of everyone's walk with
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
It's always at a different could be a different pace.
Yeah. So that hit on a point that I think is important just to kind of share as regular plain folk. There's a very deep aspect to spiritual intimacy, but then there's also just the kind of social and surfacey level.
Right.
I don't like Uh, I don't particularly like seafood, and so I mean I don't want to push that for dinner all the time. Seafood, it's kind of a surfacey thing, certain colors and all that kind of thing, and that's okay. And it is also a part of the spiritual intimacy to be sharing that and to be letting that to be known, because we're looking kind of for a perfect relationship.
Right. Well, yeah, a perfect
Yeah,
relationship.
we're looking
And
to develop it into a
develop,
perfect.
yeah. And not saying that there is
Right.
but
We want to search together and find out what
exactly.
is that thing, that perfect
But
relationship.
there is uh, um, okay, not supportive, but there is a security
Yes.
in that relationship.
Yes, there is.
The different ways that you can begin doing that in your relationship is it can be enjoying a sunset together, and just seeing the awe of the creator in that. It could be just walking nature, it could be and just seeing the face of a newborn baby.
And so, Donita, again, I want to, if this conversation can be real. So that sounds kind of cliche, a walk in nature and the beauty of sunset. But those things are really a part of when you hear so many people make emphasis or use a cliche. Okay, yeah, I think there's some humor in a cliche, so a term that's overused. But then I think also it's worthy of examining and understanding, why is a sunset or the beauty of nature, why are those things so emphasized in love and so in poetry? I think because, so I guess I'm encouraging everyone that, as we've grown 37 years, there is some value in the old school kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
the romanticism. There's some value in exploring that. That there is kind of a magic in watching the sunset and looking into one another's eyes.
Right. And the root of it is love.
It's love.
It's love. And
Right.
that is where or what we all want.
We all we all want love.
Everybody needs love and to be shown love and to feel love.
Yes.
Um, and each morning that we wake up and see another sunrise,
Yes.
it's another day that some people will never see.
Never see.
And just the awe and the amazement of the sun coming over water or a mountain or wherever the sun comes up in your area. But to see the sun come up
See, I think it's
and the glory, and to see the glory
the
of
glory of
God,
God.
that's what
Yeah.
the glory of God is just awesome.
Well, I like the
Or the sunset.
or the sunset.
Hmm.
I like the way where you were taking the conversation. Particularly, I think it's appropriate now in the kind of the environment that we've just survived in this COVID, and even just the climate um, of relations between people, the left and the right, and the arguing, and the black and the white, or the diversity, and again, COVID, life and death,
Yeah.
and that in that the marriage offers a refuge from all of that. That's I really and I encourage us all to be thankful for this opportunity that we have within our marriage, because so if I could just kind of use it in common terms, what I've often been thankful for is that I've got an opportunity to work out a relationship with my wife, Donita, particularly my wife, who I chose and who chose me. So we've already kind of answered a lot of questions right there. But then in working this relationship, I have a shelter to come to and a place of safety to open myself and share and talk about anything that's going on. Now, again, we're aware that we have different personalities,
Mhm.
but that even becomes fun because we're aware of how to um, um, positively and uh, beneficially manipulate and to operate within our personalities and our understandings and promote emerging. Because it doesn't just happen. We could stay together 37 years, but if we're not being very intentional and that we want to become closer, we just become, longtime friends. You know what I mean? Yeah, which is good too. That's
That's
beauty.
good. That's good too.
But I'm looking for, and I know you are, a relationship, marriage, a joining. And 37 years has been a beautiful time to do it. So, Donita, so then, if I can, give this perspective of the male perspective. Because,
Okay.
there's a stereotype, about men and being intimate and all. That's weak and that's soft. Um, but one of the things that I've learned as a man in our relationship is the society abroad has, or I think it has the capacity to miscommunicate and uh, bring error to the definition of being a man. By that I mean, yes, a man has to live up to the responsibility of leading a household, but that does not mean that the man is superior. It just means that the man has the role of leading the household. And one of the things that you find out is that in most relationships, most marriages, while the man may leave the household, the woman um, marshals the household, or the man may captain it, but the woman keeps it going forward as a healthy and wholesome relationship. So, guys, in that I mean, it's often joked that, you know, the way women talk, or that women talk, or talk more than men. And that nothing could be further from the truth because men have the same needs, want to talk, we want to do all of that and gossip. And I think the thing that we're given the license to practice in our marriage is that we don't have to listen to some stale definition that doesn't relate to our holy and spiritual relationship. And we can share and talk with our wives and learn. So I would promote that and encourage that. Younger men and even guys who are moved on up the ladder, uh, like we have, that this thing can be beautiful if we are open and if we take advantage of um, the ability to be open and the secrecy, and even the um, specialness of the marriage relationship.
Hmm. And also in that specialness, share prayer requests,
Yeah,
um, share
yeah,
um, the blessings of God during that day,
yeah, yeah,
or even something that inspired you that day.
yeah,
It could be um, as simple as a text, or it could be as simple as someone saying to you, "Good morning,"
yeah, yeah,
you know, or "I like your smile,"
yes,
because that all reaches a part of you
it does,
that
it does.
needs to be touched.
So again, I think point on for those directions, because the first person that I want to hear comment on how I look is you, and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the practice is, your hair looks nice. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
That's a practice. And although my parents were not church people, that was a practice that they held, that every morning we all in the whole household said
Good
good
morning.
morning to one another. And that when we came back from being anywhere in our journeys throughout the day,
Mhm.
that we greeted one another. How you doing? Hello. Whatever the appropriate informal greeting was throughout the house, or whatever the situation merited, greeting one another in some way. And again, if we saw some new shoes, we made a big deal of it. Like, man, you looking nice, and wow, how you doing? And how was your day? And that's the thing. I think that you helped. I have some kind of silly about certain things, but you helped to keep it fun. In that we talked about that when each of us, we're not working full time now, but when we were working, having a conversation about our day. Um, Also, I think it was important that we made sure that at least once, often two or three times throughout that day, that we touched somehow.
Yeah.
Usually, always, often we
It was
made
like
sure
phone call or
that's right.
text or something.
We got to work.
Yeah.
Lunchtime, what are you eating? Well, about the time when the kids would get out of school, 2:30, 3 o'clock p.m., somewhere in there. Um, have you heard from anybody, everybody? How's everybody? And then that final call, depending on, again, circumstances. I'm on my way home. I'm going to be late. I'm early. The communication, I think so. If I might put a point in the outline, talking, talking, talking. I don't think you can talk too much in a marriage. Communicating.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between talking and communicating.
Exactly.
But talking and communicating. Talking, I think, is the practice of developing communication. So talking, communicating, talking, communicating is the outline point that I might place emphasis on. Talking and communicating and getting better at that.
Yeah. Because a person can be talking and not talking about what's really they want to talk
I
about.
agree. I agree.
So
I agree.
if you listen, you can hear what they're essentially saying.
So, sweet, then tell, for the purposes of this conversation, what do you mean when you say listening and hear? Can you bring that up when you're talking about in the marriage and the relationship, listening to one another and hearing one another?
To hear is to actually hear the heart, or to capture the heart or the intent of what that person is saying.
The intent. Wow. Okay. Yes. I said this, but I meant, that I really
Exactly.
meant this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In that way, you do avoid a lot of
Yeah.
argument if
Yeah.
you're listening and not responding,
Right.
because responding is easy to respond,
It is.
but to actually listen, and it
Yes.
might take time, because
That's
it
beautiful.
could be a person. It might take 3 or 4 hours to actually hear what that
That's the
person's
truth.
trying to say,
That's the truth.
because a lot of times we are physical or emotional, and we put that out there first,
Yes.
and you're not really hearing the person.
Right. Right.
So if we take the time to actually listen to the person, you'll find out a lot about what that person's day was actually like.
Yes. That's right.
Because sometimes you'll say, "Oh, I had a good day," but if you listen to what I'm saying, I could have had a horrible day,
Yeah.
and I'm just putting on face
Right.
for you.
So, and let me put this out there, and that, of course, by now you know a lot about me. Um, and when I bring the term competitive up, let me frame that now. By that I'm talking about in that I always still want to be the center of your attention. And so then there's a work that I have to do. I don't want anybody to be more important to you than me. Now, of course, there's some understanding. We have our children and we have our parents, but in the context of the marriage relationship, when we're talking about me and you, I don't want anybody to be attracting you more than me, and vice versa. I don't want to be allowing anybody else to attract me more than you. So there's that practice and I find, man, it's like parts of that get renewed. I don't want to say just put on the annually, but every step there's kind of a new aspect of that. In that I'm trying to get your attention in this way. And then, so maybe that was a suit. I remember my brown suit when we first got married. But maybe now, and the hair is a bit different now. Calm down. But um, I'm I'm wanting to make sure, even before any of your friends, your lady friends say how pretty you are. I want to make sure that I'm saying that to you. And in terms of competition, when I don't make it to be the first one, and keeping that in reserve in my mind. Next time, though, I'm going to be the one to remember to tell you how you look before anybody else. So that only thing that they can possibly be doing is reiterating what I have set forth. The dress is beautiful, and that agrees with what I've already told you. Your smile is uh, wonderful, but that agrees with what your sister's just telling you something that agrees with what I told you, or something your mother told you, because some other guy better not be telling you. Okay, all right, okay, all right, but anyway,
Okay, anyway,
yeah,
um, and that should go both ways.
it's
I
better.
should say to you how nice you look that day.
How do I look today?
You look nice. Uh, and but what um, I don't want to say that it's I mean, yeah, you're right. You
Okay,
should be the first, and I should be the first.
okay,
Okay. Mhm. But sometimes it is, how should I say it? Not sometimes the longer you've been married, you
hmm,
forget to do those things.
you do.
And you have to refocus on your spouse's needs
Yes,
because you want them to always have you on their mind.
yes,
So you should have them on your mind.
that's right.
But if someone else does say something
Hmm.
first,
Hmm.
that does not mean that there is any lack of love
Right.
for the
Yes,
other
that's
person.
right. That's right.
Because a lot of times, and maybe more newly married or whatever,
Hmm.
sometimes you just sort of forget to do that
Yeah.
because you're so used to just being honest with everybody,
Right. Right.
you know.
So
But you need
again,
to focus.
it's just I think the idea and the lesson that I'm constantly learning, keep my ears up and my sensitivity up, and not letting anything get stale. You know.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't let things get stale
Yeah. So I'm
because
happy to come home to see you every day.
mhm,
You're not just Donita. You're my wife, whom I'm happy to see every day.
right.
And I think again, me now, my personal journey, one of the things that taught me that the COVID and 2002, 2020, 2021, 22
Mhm.
have taught me is that it reminds me, Bob says, no, those things are not promised.
Right.
I saw so many of my friends and people I know who came back to empty houses
Yeah.
and to empty places. Their loved one, their spouse was gone. So I'm reminding myself to cherish you and to be as real as I can with you so that each day then just by its nature becomes special.
And, and speaking on that note, I think what happens is a lot of times when we were early married, it's like you said, it's the kids,
Yes, yes,
it's your job,
yes.
it's the people at the church, it's your family,
Mhm.
it's a lot of things or a lot of people are taking up your time.
Mhm.
But I think the older you get and closer to retirement age,
Mhm.
you tend because the kids are gone.
Yes, the kids are gone.
Your
Job is gone.
your job is gone.
Mhm.
Some parents are gone.
Some parents are gone. Yeah,
Some parents you start your caretakers.
that's right.
Yeah, become
That's right.
caretakers.
Right.
Uh, but what you tend to do is fill that space more
Yeah.
and redeveloping that relationship that you had in the beginning, and not just reestablishing it because sometimes marriages get off track and they lose like, oh, what happened? You see
Yeah, what
marriages,
happened?
you
Right.
see them dissolve because of like we went two separate ways.
Yeah, 30 years and
you're like,
boom.
why?
What? Yeah.
Put so much time in, you're
Right.
going two separate ways, but
Right.
it's the quality of time that you have put in. But anyway, as you get older, you tend to refocus and decide to reinvest
Yes.
into what you have committed to the number of years that you already have done that. Because I understand people that divorce. I'm not saying that you shouldn't divorce over
Yeah.
certain
That's
things.
not our topic
No,
here.
it's not.
Right.
Because there are certain things you should.
Certainly.
But,
Certainly.
some things like in, our marriages, you say, well, why am I doing this? But why not do certain things to
Right.
reinvest
That's
in
right.
what you've put your time into?
Right.
And it's not that the person has changed that much, but sometimes marriages, people do change,
That's
totally
right.
change.
That's right.
But if you're constantly sharing, there should not be that wide of a change.
Right.
Because you're constantly talking and communicating and respecting
That's right.
and opening up.
So new
And
direction. Let's go in that new direction together.
exactly.
Yeah. Let's do a new
Exactly.
thing.
Oh, that's interesting to me. I couldn't
Yeah.
do it when I was younger,
Right.
but hey, let's try doing that.
Right. Let's hang.
Let's explore that
Yeah. Let's
aspect.
travel. Let's ride a motorcycle. Let's golf together. Let's do whatever it is. Like
Yeah, parasailing, whatever
yeah,
that
right.
might. Yeah,
That we never knew that the other might like.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to rediscover that person or have new hobbies or new
Yes.
whatever. But it is all a part of sharing. Like if I was interested in doing something when I was younger and I'm not interested in it now, share that. Don't just
Yeah.
like catch somebody off guard
Right.
that
Right.
you don't like doing that
So
anymore.
sweet, bring it on as with some closing and coming to a conclusion. Bring it in, and then we see if we can direct our audience about giving. But can you bring this portion to a conclusion?
All right. So the first thing, of course, is trying to go over what we were talking about,
Yes.
which is um, being open with your
Oh,
spouse,
yes. Yes.
being sharing,
Sharing takes time.
being respectful,
Respectful, right. Right.
hearing,
Hearing, right.
and to be non-judgmental
Right.
but supportive of your spouse's.
And those are skills that take time to develop.
Yeah,
Got to practice doing them.
be supportive of your spouse's
Mm-hmm.
um, feeling or relationship with God.
That
And
spirituality thing too.
and spirituality, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because the sometimes when there's a fast call,
Mm-hmm.
one spouse might say, "I'm not doing that," and the other spouse is like, "No, I'm feeling that I need to do this, then you have to be respectful of that person.
That's right.
And say, okay, I'm going to respect the fact that they're trying to get closer,
Right.
Spiritually to God. And I need to okay, let's agree.
Respect that. And let's
Respect it
agree.
and let's agree
Yeah, that's right. This is
that
what we're
this
gonna
is
do.
what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I agree.
I know there's and it's not easy to do that,
No.
but it's needed for that person to grow.
Yes.
And the more the person grows, the
More you can
better
grow.
your relationship is
Yeah,
gonna
that's
be.
right.
So you really just
100%.
you're taking from yourself if you don't allow that person to grow in the relationship that they're trying to grow in.
Yeah. I have benefited from each seed that I have sown and you have sown into our marriage. I've gotten benefit from it. So, well, I think we brought it to a summary, bring it to a conclusion. We are just blessed and so happy that you've stayed with us and
Yes.
listened to us talking and listened to us share. We hope that it has been done. I know that it has been done from our spirits, and that we're not trying to say we have perfection.
No.
What we're saying is that we have the mindset that we're looking for perfection within our relationship, and that we want to give this information to you to let you know it is fun re-exploring and rediscovering and finding out and becoming more and more intimate.
Forever learning.
Forever learning.
Forever learning.
Forever learning. So that if we could say that's one thing, that spiritual intimacy is a process that we never stop defining or going into. We at one level of intimacy, then there's another level. It's almost like spirituality, going deeper in God, going deeper in this marriage relationship, finding out about the nooks and crannies of life together. So I thank you, sweet, for spending time talking to me.
Thank you.
Um,
We always like talking to one
we do.
That's
fun.
Yeah.
And
listening.
And listening. So it's appropriate that this time that we give, we support this ministry, that we appreciate Pastor Gates and First Lady Gates, who God has given the mantle and the direction of leading this ministry. And it takes our spiritual support, and it also takes our financial support. So you will see on the screen and in other areas various ways to give and to support this ministry. And supporting Kingdom Apostolic Ministry, you will invariably then help the marriage ministry and the Sunday school department or Christian education, all aspects and arms that Pastor Gates has seen fit to develop and nourish and place for our growth and for our spiritual nourishment. So again, we are directing you to give. We know that Givelify is a way. Cash App is a way. There's a number that you see that you can call and give that way.
You can mail a check.
You can mail a check, money order. Please don't mail cash. Don't mail cash.
No.
Mail a money order or a check to the address that's there on the screen. Is there anything that I'm looking on? Well, no, other than when you have opportunity, please visit CAM Ministry in person. We would love to see you. If there's anything that we could answer question about or anything that we could do to help you in your walk in your marriage, feel free to contact Cam. That's right, please. Brother and Sister Morgan from the Detroit campus. Detroit, right. And we would love to hear from you if you have a question, and we will reach out to you. Amen. When possible. And for those of you who don't know, there's a Detroit campus of Kingdom Apostolic Ministries, and there's also an Indianapolis, Indiana campus of Kingdom Apostolic Ministries. And I know that we're developing have we developed the other? This is
also our people in our e-church.
In our e-church, yes.
You're are big, very important to us. The other,
And there are other definitive or physical locations
yeah,
that are developing in
yeah.
Albany. So again, thank you.
Thank you so
Bless you,
much for
everybody.
listening. We hope we said something that will help you.
Amen.
God bless you.
Bless you.
Peace
Peace.
and love
And
to you in your marriages.
amen.